Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. It's almost time to start today's trading studio. Before we get going, I have a couple of you chime in on the questions panel if you can see that first slide and hear me all right. Hey Alan and John, thank you. Great. All right. So before we start, I'm going to put a poll up on your screen, actually a couple of these. And they're just demographic polls, lets us know who's in the room, and helps us keep our webinars topical. First one is, are you a subscriber? Do you currently have an active subscription? It's just a yes or a no. I'll leave it open long enough for the majority of the people already in the room to have a chance to vote, and then I'll move on to a quick follow-up. But while you're voting, I'll remind you that if you have questions, please ask them in the questions panel because we can't hear you. But if you have a question that you want the presenters to address directly, you should wait until they're taking questions from the audience. That way they can interact with you during the presentation. Otherwise, we'll just try to keep up in the questions panel as the presentation moves forward. And so feel free to ask whatever, and we'll try to keep up. Your hosts today are Andy Lindloff and Jamie Hodge, both educators here at Trade Ideas. And my name's Scott. I'll be helping out in the questions panel. All right. Thanks, everyone who voted. So we do have a majority of subscribers. It looks like 74 to 26 about, at least among those that participated. So thank you for voting. And if you're not yet a subscriber, there will be a promotional code, a discount code we give out later on in the webinar, so stay tuned for that. You can use it to save some money when you come on board as a subscriber. Here's a question for those of you that are subscribers. Do you have premium? Are you using you have access to the AI? If you don't yet know the difference between premium and standard is premium has all the really high-end fintech that we've been developing in the last couple of years, including our artificial intelligence and the backtesting module, price alert, unlimited price alerts, the RBI, GBI, advanced windows, that kind of stuff, and who knows what's going to be coming around the corner. It also has access to free access for interactive brokerage clients to our Brokerage Plus automatic trading module, so you can ask about that if you have an interest in automating your trading strategies and are an interactive brokerage client. All right, thanks everyone that voted. And also the discount code we'll give out later can also be used to upgrade from standard to premium, so keep that in mind. So thank you all for voting. So it looks like we have about a 65 to 35 premium versus standard here today. That's pretty normal. We've been seeing anywhere between 65 to 80% most of the webinars of subscribers that have premium that attend. So very happy with how our technology is being adopted, and it's good stuff. All right, so we can see Andy's screen here. I'll go ahead and turn this loose over to Andy in a moment. The webinar will be recorded, and we'll have the recording up later tonight or tomorrow. You get an email reminder tomorrow about where to find it. So Andy, what's in store today?
Hey, what's happening, Scott?
Hey.
Andy, I am good. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday to you too, and happy Thursday for everybody that came and took some time out of their day to joining us today. We have some cool stuff to show you today. And also, Jamie and I, as we were prepping for this webinar, we're talking about there was some, even though the market's kind of finished kind of flat today, there was some good action today, and we will we'll definitely go into that here in just a little bit. But before we do anything, let's go over our disclaimer. And even though Jamie and I at one time held a Series 7 license, we no longer hang that on our wall. We moved on to more fun stuff like trading and cool software. And so, but we are going to show you some stuff today. And just keep in mind, this is for educational purposes only. Nothing that you see or hear today should be construed as investment advice. Okay, so if you're seeking that, look for an RIA or a registered broker. Bless you. So let's move on and let's talk about the incredible support, education, and training that we have here at Trade Ideas. We have a daily trading room, guys. This is open every day. The market is open, unless Barry goes on vacation, and then Dan will step in. So it's pretty much pretty much is open every day. The market's open. 7 hours, 6.5 to 7 hours with the material of watching Barry trade. Got about 500 or 600 traders in there, some really good traders, and you can see the software. You can watch Barry navigate the market with the software and make trades live. And we also have a webinar pretty much every day of the week. That's in the 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And you have Jamie and Steve on Monday. On Wednesday, we throw you a treat with Dan and Brad. Dan's our CEO, and Brad is our CTO, and sorry, CEO and CTO. And of course, the trading studio. Now you got me and Jamie in here today. And guys, let's not forget about our Friday support sessions. Okay, people have been loving this, and I think a lot of you people get this software, and you may venture into the trading room a little too soon. Because there's a lot to learn, all right? And I know you want to trade. Trust me, I've been a trader for 20 years. But when you get a software like this, you might want to spend some time. Come in that Friday support session, learn, ask questions. We'll demonstrate it for you, just like we're showing you here in a GoToWebinar interface. So please, guys, come in there. It's from 11 to 2 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time. And all right, let's not forget about the one-on-one training. Okay, this is a $99 value, guys. It's when you sign up, either under the standard or the premium, you do get this for free. It's a one-time, one-on-one session with myself, Jamie, Steve. Now Sean is doing it for long-time traders and who know the product very well, and can really help you as far as getting going with the software or with trading. I can't tell you how much we get in there, and we venture off into trading strategies. So please take advantage of that. It is free when you sign up for Trade Ideas. Scott was mentioning this real quickly in his introduction there. This is our Brokerage Plus product. It is a way for you to maybe create some strategies and automate it with Interactive Broker. So it's more for advanced guys. This is one where not even if you feel like you're a good trader, but if you're not good at like using software and writing strategies, you may want to take some time, to learn, how to do that as well. But anyway, if you want more information on that, just go to trade-ideas.com/beta. All right, this is our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the market recap. We kind of just been hanging out up here lately. Thought we may get out of the blocks yesterday, but we kind of sold off, and it's not uncommon going into Jobs Friday. Everybody kind of positions themselves, and then we see what happens on the data tomorrow as the jobs number come out. So that's kind of possibly what the market is waiting on. We'll talk about the market recap there. Holly recap. A lot more action today. Not a lot more action today, but definitely some movement in the P&L for Holly, and especially on risk on. So we will go down that path and show you about 3 or 4 trades that Holly put on, and how you might have profit from them. I do this a lot. I take a look at the volume plays off my extreme volume high-low. There was a few more in there that really caught my eye today, and I'll go over them. Sticking with the, hold on just one second, guys. Sorry about that. My daughter always comes in from school and has to shout out, "Hi, Daddy." So anyway, we'll take a look at the volume plays, and then we're going to talk about a new alert that I built called "Where's My Money?" It's an alert based upon fading. So anyway, I was surprised about this because in the bull tape that we've had over the last several years, to get a fading strategy on a 3-day hold that actually pays a nice little winning percentage and profit factor, I was impressed. So one you might want to take a look at and keep in your hopper, man. So when the market does turn, this could be really profitable. And anyway, I'll share that with you guys. So that's a treat for you guys to hang on and wait toward the end. And with that said, Jamie, I'm going to dive into the market recap here.
Sounds good.
Market recap. So what I'm going to do is expand out this daily. Kind of bear with me here as I try to grab this. There we go. And we won't spend a whole lot of time on this because you guys can see what I'm talking about here. The market tried to kind of pop out of this range yesterday and just kind of fell right back in it. And then today, I was joking with the guys in there, we started heading down, and I said, well, just so typical. You sell off in the morning to a level where the buy the dippers jump in, and that's exactly what you saw today. If I put this on a 15-minute time frame, you're going to see the ugly red bar, at the open there, not at the open, maybe 30 minutes after the open, found the bottom, and then kind of just finally went to highs, just kind of fought its way all back all day. This kind of allowed, I think, for some good Holly trades today, because you did have it wasn't a big gap, so you opened up kind of flat, and even though the market tried to sell off, I think the setups kind of developed a little better for Holly today. But anyway, getting back to the daily, let's take a look at what we're looking at here. And so typical, we're kind of setting up here in the middle of our 5-day range, waiting on the numbers tomorrow. There's really not enough here for me to mark up. We got a lot of sloppy wicks to the downside. You had one yesterday to the upside. But it's just kind of a wait and see, as far as the diamonds actually finished a little bit stronger today, back on all-time closing highs in the diamonds. And let's take a look at the Qs. And the Qs kind of pulled back a little bit after their big run, after all the tech announcement earnings. But still the same pattern, guys. We're so far away from like our moving averages, I would say. We're so far away from our 200-day, really stretched out, even though you don't see them on here. I can look at a chart, and kind of give you an idea of where we're at. But yeah, it's, even though it doesn't, it's a runaway, it's kind of a runaway market, but it just has a strange way of doing it. I don't know. I don't know, Jimmy, can you have a runaway market and a melt up at the same time? A runaway melt up. That's what it is.
It's kind of schizophrenic right now. The market is very schizophrenic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a runaway melt up. But anyway, if you had been around in the early trading in the late 1990s and the early 2000s, you got some just really incredible moves where that was a runaway market. This is more of kind of an orchestrated melt up, but it sure feels extended. But
hey, Andy, if you notice, look at every time we pop those highs, we get that immediate, every time we popped highs, we got these little, wicks or either an inside day. It's just, it's just kind of strange activity right now. And then, as Andy is going to point out here, and I'm going to point out pretty soon, for a lot of the day we were just in that little no man's land on the SPY with low volume. There's still a lot of opportunity, so to speak.
Yes, you have to remember that. I mean, even days where the overall market's not doing anything, that's what's great about this software. You can find incredible pockets of opportunity all over the place, and it's very important. For those that may be in here kicking the tire, I'm user number 40 at Trade Ideas. Jamie's probably a little earlier than that, and I feel naked without it. There's days when it's down, which has only been a handful of times over the last 14 years. But boy, I just back away because, I don't have my little sidekick being Trade Ideas sitting next to me, showing me where the opportunity is. But anyway, I think that's it for the overall market. That's just not a whole lot to talk about there. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Jamie. He's going to take a look at Holly. It was impressive today. A couple of trades were maybe a little bit difficult to trade, but there was a handful. There's 3 of them, boy, that was really, really impressive. And I know Jamie will kind of highlight those. And if he doesn't, I will. But
hey, we can do it together, Andy. That's
sure,
the best way.
Absolutely. Oh, you bet we will. But if you are ready, I'll save my other stuff for the afternoon there, sharing that. So we'll let you take it over.
Yeah, on, so to speak. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully you can see my desktop. You know what? I bet Mike's having a problem seeing my desktop. I forgot to do a little switch here. So everybody just bear with me for one quick second here while I correct a little technical glitch here. And then we'll get rolling. All right, so Mike should be able to see now. Okay, you got eyes on, Andy?
I do, see it fine.
All right, so let me just get my things back in order here. So Holly, for those of you who are regular subscribers, premium subscribers, which are the majority these days, well, then you know that Holly, over the past couple of past weeks, so to speak, has been having a little trouble just finding a groove. Not taking huge losses, but just, you know, stringing together some little 30, 40 cent losing days in a row. But, you know, with the statistical model the whole time, we're like, okay, well, when are the stats going to catch up? When is that storm of statistical probability going to hit? And that's kind of what we had today. And when we look at the risk on P&L that Holly finished with, up 7.46 points on a trade count of 8, 10, 12, right? So we got 12 trades here kicking out 7.46 points on risk on. Of course, risk off only yielding 92 cents. Now, pretty big deal when you decide to go risk on and you have the potential to make almost 8 times what the risk off is showing. So pretty impressive day today. And of course, didn't come, well, of course, Holly always comes stacked long, right? But we had a nice number of strategies here, 7 on the long side with 1 short. And of course, we see the shorts show up from time to time. They usually don't get a whole lot of play. Things just don't typically release. But man, we sure had one today. Why don't we just jump right into the only short that we can see here? Kicked off about 20 minutes into the open here. And here we can see, just double clicked on Holly's plotter. And these are 5-minute candles. So I'll just squish it up a little bit here. So obviously the pre-market 5, 10, 15, after this little down move here, Holly says, well, everything's lined up. I'm going to take me a short here. And boy, some nice movement just off to the races. You know, typically we see this chart inverted. Holly will make a nice long. It'll just be off to the races. Well, this is the exact opposite, off to the races, but southern, you know. Obviously we're shorting, we're selling first, and then just a nice progression as the day moved on. And this little guy just based out the rest of the day. And of course on the daily, you know, of course me and the rest of the crew were all thinking, well, it has room down to here, and boy, it just kept on giving. Kept on giving once it passed through there. So a really good short move on the Lumentum Holdings today, LITE. Of course, we can see here the difference between the risk off and the risk on. And just to clarify for those of you who might be seeing Holly for the first time, we can also see risk off and risk on in the P&L. But what does that mean exactly? Well, risk off is simply Holly obeying her rule set like any of us would do. Profit target, stop loss, time to hold is up. She's going to obey her rule set and get out. She also has the option to exit early with a profit save or a reduced risk if the trade is not working. In this case here, you know, she got a little bit nervous. She was only in the trade about 15 minutes. So 5, 10, 15 down to here. So probably this wicking action is probably what triggered it. But in any case, she exercises her right to do that and books 75 cents. Now risk on is just telling us this is what you would be up if you held it to the close, or this will adjust in real time as the day progresses, obviously. But it's just letting you know, hey, if you're still in the position, this is what's going on. So you can get into a very nice routine and methodology to get used to risk off and risk on by doing a little bit of both. This shaded area here represents Holly's time in it during risk off. Now, let's say we're in a couple hundred shares. In the beginning, when you're getting used to interacting with Holly, you do half and half if the chart merits holding for some risk on activity. So if we got out a half right here with Holly, see this nice little sideways movement. It's not just jerking back up, and we're thinking to ourselves, okay, tell you what I'm going to do on this second lot. I'm going to set my stop loss somewhere up here, and then we're going to see if we can get some additional downside movement. So you're taking a little bit more risk, hoping to make a little bit more money. So I kind of like to say the name of the game here is we want to make something in between here. We want to capture some of this spread. We know we're not going to get it all, but man, on this one trade, there was $2.10 of spread in there, right? So by working with the machine, or in the beginning getting used to it by doing half and half, and then as you repeat the process, it becomes easier, just like anything else. I don't know, Andy, anything to add about
No, that's
about as pretty as you can get?
it. Really is. It really is, and that's why I try to help people to stay in trades longer, because I've seen those come and fail, and the ones that do well and make it in this business are the ones that let trades work with them. Even if you're day trading, I'm not saying you got to hold on to the trade for 3 or 4 days, but you need to learn to not take 10 cents out of a dollar, or in this case
that can be just as mentally wrecking as a loss, right?
It really can.
You're like, I did everything I was supposed to, but then I panicked out, and look, I'd be making $2 instead of a quarter, right?
Yeah.
So hey, it's half the equation. Not only do you have to cut your losers and manage them quickly, you also have to manage your winners properly.
Absolutely.
Which is one of the trading 101 mistakes that new traders make. They don't let their winners run, and they close their losers out late. Just some basic rules there can help alleviate that. All right, so that was the star short, the only short today by Holly. And then we had a couple of really nice long winners today. Of course, risk on the CIFS, and watching this unfold during the day, sometimes when you see some charts with some dashes on it, you're like, well, could I even gotten filled in here? We look at these the bars that did have some volume. You're looking at a couple thousand shares there, and just depending on the bar. Of course, I don't think there's a lot of traders around these days that are just immediately jumping into 1,000 shares. It's kind of what we did back in the old days when we first started, but that's the way the systems worked. Now it's a little bit harder to get liquidity, so to speak. But you're getting into 200-300 shares. You had your chance with this one, maybe actually even in the entry bar here, which is where Holly said she's going to get her little piece. And then we got a little sideways movement here, and then whoosh right down to the stop out area. So Holly, you can notice here, she just stayed in it for a very small amount of time and then exercised profit save, Andy. So when I see an exercise of profit save right here, I mean, in this case, it was a flat, right?
Right.
So she could have been up maybe 2 or 3 cents, triggered, profit save. By the time she gets out, it's flat. But once again, a little bit thin and coming right down to the stop area. So trying to stay in this one, I mean, it was possible. Now, probably not the easiest call in the world. But here's the deal. This would have been a perfect trade around, all right? So whether we participated or not, or whether we just all of a sudden looked over and we saw Holly was in a long position and she was showing a net loss in it, right? Well, I always like to get in the habit of coming up here once it initially goes below the entry line. Let's come up here and set a price alert, right? So that once it gets back up through there again, we can take a peek and maybe figure out if it's going to go the second time. Because what you're going to notice about these Holly trades, of course, on the light, boom, it was just off to the races, right? On this one, a little bit thinner of a stock, but what did it do? It's hugging the line. And sometimes they'll hug the line and pass back and forth through it multiple times on the day. Sometimes they'll do it real close, but this little guy was all wound out, probably due to the fact it's typically not the most liquid stock around. And then we had the day preceding today. So, this is kind of what happens. They're a little bit more stretched out when there might not be as much liquidity in the stock. But if you got in the ebb and flow of this one, it could have been a couple of good trading opportunities as it passes through that line the second and third time.
Yep.
So that's my take on that one. And then we had this guy.
My favorite.
Yes, and very nice and liquid, and there's so many things I like about this entry signal here. All right. So first thing my eyes go to is we just mark this up a little line right here. And then, of course, the blue line here corresponds with Holly's entry price of 1908, where you would have been signaled. So immediately when I pull this up, I see, not only is Holly delivering me the trade from early bird, which I can see right here, came into the session at 55.6%, of the thing going your way. Not the biggest percentage, but all of this is relative. So we've got 55.6% probability on our side, and I noticed that the range break has just occurred. It just happens to be one of my favorite intraday patterns. So stacking two good attributes on top of one another. And then the added benefit may be, I can also see the volumes really percolating, right? And of course, look at what CWST finished today, relative volume. So we've got Holly giving us excellent statistical probability. We've got my favorite pattern now involved, and we've got raging volume.
I mean, now, on top of all that, as if that's not enough, take a look at the daily, right where she triggered it.
Yep, and look what's happening here. This is a beautiful example of a fractal pattern playing out in real time on two different time frames. This is the pattern right here with the break. Of course, I moved my line. So you see, this is just a break, just as like this is just a break. All right, just different time frames. So man, we get this intraday signal, and then we get nice northern movement our way, flattens out again, buyers take a break, or the buyer takes a break, buyers and sellers become equal. We've got a new range to be penetrated here, and guess what? It goes up here and pops it again, takes a little breather, and then goes one more time. So see, the nice thing about identifying this guy early with the benefit of the AI is that there was truly a buyer in this, wasn't going all crazy, so you actually had opportunity to really leverage this trade, all right? Because number one, statistical probability coupled with pattern, coupled with raging volume on the intraday, and a breakout on the daily. That's actually 4 very positive attributes for a trade. And when you start stacking 3 and 4, well, this is what happens. So just a beautiful, beautiful chart on every time frame. Nice and even here. There wasn't a lot of crazy activity. So just as far as charts go and intraday moves coupled with the daily confirmation, just doesn't get any better.
And I want to throw this out because Tassine asked, in your opinion, what's the best indicator for buy and sell? Well, Tassine, I think you're going to find all of us kind of agree. We don't look at a whole lot of indicators because if you look at too many of them, it's going to distract you, and everything's not going to line up, so you'll pass on a trade. I would much rather find a pattern like this. I mean, this is just textbook when you're looking for, everything Jamie just talked about right there. You talk about the stars lining up, and I don't need a single indicator to tell me everything's lining up here. I have my main thing is volume. Well, you saw is doing 5-to-1 relative volume. It's a break on the intraday, like you said, and then even more important, you got a break on the daily, and that is right there. And look at the volume bar to that. It's the most volume it had in months, and you have a break. So that's the kind of stuff that you're going to find most of us here at Trade Ideas, what we're looking for, and not so much is it 8-period moving average crossing over the 20-period. It just, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Any method that allows you to make money is a good method or a good system, whatever you want to call it. But for me, and I think Jamie and a lot of guys, we like to keep it simple. Well, and
I agree with you 100%, Andy. And it's something that's happened over time. It's not like all of a sudden we got together and went, all these indicators are garbage. It's something that, and I still won't say that because, I mean, hey, everybody's different. Everybody has different things that they like to focus on. In other words, everybody knows the animals that they're hunting, and they know the methods to find them and hopefully execute. But this strategy here, early bird. Now, there are some what you might call fundamental metrics going on underneath the machinery here. But the interesting thing to point out here is that early bird might show up tomorrow, but it's not going to be the same early bird that showed up today. Things will have been changed by the AI, and it will have had to have met the minimum score on our proprietary system to make the cut again for tomorrow. But if early bird shows up, it's a different version based on the optimizations that the AI and analysis that the AI has conducted the night before. So those things are always moving parts. They're moving around. So maybe the system did use relative strength on a smaller time frame, or maybe it didn't, or maybe it used a version of one of our custom volume filters. But the bottom line is that's going on underneath. But what's not on this chart here? What's not on this chart are any studies, just a couple of lines. And this stock, CWST, did this today without any technical indicators or anything up here. Now, if we laid all those studies across here, well, you would notice our correlations. But that's pretty much it, right? So, just to kind of take it a little step further here is that, a lot of these patterns that Andy and I look for on our extreme high volume scans, what are we really using to find those things? Price, action, and volume, right? So there's a lot of different ways to slice and dice the information here. But in the end, if we can rely on statistical probability and simplify everything else from a manual perspective, man, that's the way to do it. Dispense with the complicating things that don't really mean anything. So in any case, before we get too far off topic here, all right, so we did the light, we did the SIFs, we did the CWST, and then we just had a couple of other random small winners, this little guy right here.
That was a nice one. Look at that.
Made us sweat just a little bit, but if you're in the trade and you don't get stopped out, and then you see this little wick form here, that's always a comforting thing. And then you may even want to add to that position a little bit because, see, the name of the game here sometimes is, timing's not going to be perfect on everything. It goes below, there is no stop out, so what do? If we're already in 100 from here and we see this, okay, I remember what Jamie said, I'm going to go ahead and set my price alert. I'm not going to sit here and fixate on this thing. But if it does creep back up here in the next 10 minutes while I'm scrolling through other stocks, I'll get the alert and I go, okay, didn't stop us out. We got a nice bottoming wick there. I'm going to go ahead and put on another 100. Now I got 200 and bop, 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 right? Then it's just figuring out where you'd like to get out.
Yeah, nice entry, and really that was only about 6 or 7 cents against you there, so not a whole lot of pain in that one.
And see, on the trade arounds like AFSI, okay, it blew us out, right? We got up a little bit and then whoosh, right? So if we would have set the price alert here, we never would have heard from this stock again because it never got back up there. Whereas this little guy, sure, we get in or we see Holly, maybe we don't even participate on this one, but we look over and we're like, ooh, Holly's getting beat up in that, actually gets stopped out. Okay, well, at this point in time, this hasn't happened yet, but here's the blue line, so we set our price alert. This little guy took all day to get back over here, but eventually, boom, and you're like, hey, you tried it the second time and maybe you got a little bit right there. Of course, that's not a big move, only 15 cents, but it's the pattern that's, the important thing.
Well, good
so
stuff.
That's how we can interact with the AI, and that's how we can capitalize off the AI. If we see it down, just like Andy and Steve and I, we all like to regale about how we used to sit in offices and there was always the one guy and we'd profit off of his pain. It's the same thing here, except this person, this robotic AI, Holly, she's going to be here doing it every day. And what we like to point out is she crushed it today. But when this highly evolved statistical model is having troubles in the first 30 minutes or hour of any day, that should also be telling you something. That's when she's in canary in the coal mine mode, right? Which tells us to be very cautious. All right, Andy,
Nice,
if you're
nice
ready, I
bounce
will
back.
pass
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. Just go ahead and pass it back to me, Jamie, and good job
Really
there.
nice stats from Holly today.
Hmm. All righty, thank you there, buddy. And let me just show my screen. And
You are good, sir.
yeah, yeah. So, a constant theme, and I know we always have new people, but I know the regulars also like it as well because, there's some great stuff that comes through this one alert mine called Extreme Volume High-Low Pro. I do have it on history right now. And I will share this for anybody who doesn't have it. By the way, we need to remember to start putting our PDF handout. No, it's not in there. That's the Trading Studio. So anyway, I will share this with you so you can definitely look at the filters. But basically, what it's looking for is stocks moving up on huge volume. They have to be up at least 1%, and they have to be doing huge volume of at least 10 times normal volume in the 1 minute time frame and 5 minutes in the 5 minute time frame. And just the opposite, the ones that are color coded yellow, if I can find any, are ones that are moving down on huge volume. They have to be down 1% on the same amount of volume. And I also have some position and range filters to make sure that the stock is not in a what I call no man's land. In other words, it's not in a right in the middle of a 5-day range, because I don't want to be alerted to that. Okay, because I don't want to guess, at what point this thing is going to stop. Show me stocks that are at least breaking out of a 10-day range, possibly breaking out of a 20-day range, or they can be on 52-week highs or all-time highs. I don't care. I just do not want them in a a sloppy, like I said, a middle of a 5 or 10-day range. They can get a lot of head fakes. So I look for more quality over quantity, if you will. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of go back, keeping my same theme, which is be patient the first 30 minutes of the day. Yes, you could possibly miss a move, but I can promise you, you're going to get your head cut off more than you're going to miss that move, because algos are designed to get people to rush in and they see these stocks moving early. So what I like to do is just kind of sit back and let it unfold. And then when I see stocks coming through this ticker, still doing 30 minutes after the market open, still doing, 17 times normal 1 minute volume, 6 times, 10 times 5 minute volume, I have a good idea that, hey, there's still strength in the stock. Even though it's still hitting highs, been hitting highs all morning, there's still huge volume coming in here. So let's just take a look at this one right here, one of the first ones that came through at the 9 o'clock time slot. And let's take a look at this ALNY. And you can see there, it was a beautiful breakout on the daily once again, just showing you pretty much what Jamie shows you all the time on the 5 minute chart. Well, you can also do this on the daily chart. And you can see for days now, it's been trying to break this range, got close, and then lo and behold today, obviously this was news driven this morning because earnings is still 3 days away. I can tell by looking at my single stock window. And yet then we had a break here at 120, at the 126 level. Well, you can see here on the 5 minute chart, I wasn't even alerted to this, or I was, but had I just been patient and waited, and you're going to say, well, Andy, why would you be patient? You missed out on, potentially 10 points there. Well, I've learned over my career, I would rather wait and be more assured of the move than rushing in and getting, my head snapped off. And I will show you some examples of that as well. So anyway, this one, you could have waited for it to go, what is that? Basically $8, $8 and still bought this thing in no pain whatsoever. And then it runs all the way up to 146. So that's 16 more points in this one, just coming off this one alert. Now, I'm going to show you one I would probably pass on. SunPower. And I'm going to show you why. And I love our new technology here because it shows you the levels of resistance. And you can see this red line was drawn in automatically by our algorithm this morning when I have a new high alert. So if I'm sitting here watching this morning, all I got to do is look up here. I'm going to see the red line. I'm going to see it over here. And lo and behold, look where this thing went right to that red line and then kind of reversed and basically just slopped around for the rest of the day. But For the new trader, I know you guys who are long-time traders, you probably see this in your head, but for the new trader, this is huge because Holly is basically, not Holly, our technology is showing you the level of resistance. So the
Yeah, we
difference.
like to call that a smart layer.
Oh, smart layer?
That's what they're calling it. Yeah.
Great. I like that. It is a smart layer. But nonetheless, you can see what I'm talking about. This chart on the daily versus this chart. Sometimes people want to think, they see a stock running, oh, this is great, huge volume coming in. I can be early. This thing could be at $12. You know, it can happen. Sure, it can happen. But give me ANLY anytime because I know it has just broken through a huge wall and off to the races. You know, and sure, look at the momentum behind this thing. So let's take a look at maybe a few more here. I don't want to take up too much time because I do want to share that alert with you. And you can see this one right here. This is one I probably would have held off on as well because once again, you can see it ran right into the wall early in the morning and came back and went, back and forth. But going more to Jamie's type strategy. All right, you see this wall up here, the smart layer, and that's painted on here for you by our technology. Okay, now you may say, well, if it gets through there, I might take a chance on it, and you wouldn't have had much, but there's still another there's a good 50-cent run in there, over 50 cents once it broke through there. If you're a scalper, SRCI came through at 9:09 my time, and that is just ugly. They're not always going to work, but once again, look here, look what Holly's drawing for you right there. I'm not sure how far I have to go back, and there it is. So Holly is drawing you the resistance. So, and once again, another one I would probably have held off on. So you can see, guys, using our technology, Juno. I can't stop talking about this Juno this morning. Now, once again, here's the red line this morning. All right, she comes through this one doing 12 times normal 1-minute volume, 6 times 5-minute volume. Okay, you can see the layer of resistance, right? Even though you're going back a long ways. My theory is the further you have to go back, the less the resistance. So in other words, it's more important to me if it's back 2 or 3 months ago versus 2 or 3 years ago. But nonetheless, you want to be patient here. The alert goes off, and you're saying, well, I see Holly, I keep wanting to say this, Holly, I see the smart layer there, the resistance line. I'm going to be patient and make sure it clears it. Well, once again, you could do that at 54.42 level, and the thing runs all the way to 59. So guys, I'm just showing you how, you have to go to where the action is, and this is what the software shows you in real time, where the volume is flowing, where the money is flowing, what stocks are moving today, and just a simple alert like this. Well, it's not that simple, but it did take a little time to put together, but nonetheless, just using a few filters and looking for highs and breaking out of a certain range, you can find tons of opportunity. LNTH, I have no idea what this is going to look like. Another good one. Now, this one I can look with the naked eye right here. I don't even need a smart, and I'm not sure why it's not showing up on this one, but it's not. But for some reason, yeah, I didn't have a line there, but look at this. With the naked eye, I can look over here. I can see the resistance, and I get my alert right here. Well above the resistance is when the volume started coming in. And look at this, 37 times normal 1-minute volume, almost 10 times normal 5-minute volume. And thus you have the continued momentum in the stock pretty much all day. Volume doesn't lie, guys. All right. And when you see it this late in the day, 40, 45 minutes after the market open, and that's people that a lot of times are taking big positions, and ride that wave. Be the pro surfer out there looking for the big wave. And so anyway, I wanted to show you guys that, because once again, I know a lot of people out there are looking for a strategy, and this is a very simple strategy. All you're basically combining is our technology with your ability to read charts. And our technology helps you read charts because it puts the resistance lines there for you. So
yeah, and Andy, the resistance is being generated by the new high alert, correct? The resistance line. And then if you're using new low, that'll give you support.
You are correct, I think.
Of course, that's going to be a lot more useful, you know, heaven forbid if the market ever starts to go down, you know.
Yep, there you go. I'm seeing some dotted lines in here, Jamie. I don't know if that's oh, that's the smart stop, right? Right. Okay.
Right. Because there were some questions coming through the panel about, well, do those lines show up on the basic version? And yeah, the resistance and support, assuming that you use new high, new low as the alert, sure, that'll come through on the basic. And these smart layers, they come through on basic as well. So you know, the only difference basically between premium and basic is you get AI, you get the price alerts, and you get your RBI, GBI windows.
That's right. That's right. All right, guys, I'm going to show you, and here's my thinking. I was looking for a strategy. I noticed stocks with a lot of debt have a hard time moving higher, and there's a reason for that. And honestly, guys, I'd like to look at fundamentals, but I don't get too caught up in earnings per share, PE ratios, things like that. But one thing that does stick out in my mind is when I see a company with a lot of debt. And what I mean by a lot of debt is if I look over there and I see they have $11 million in cash and $2 billion or $3 billion in debt, that is a red flag to me, okay? Because a financially healthy company is not going to be swallowed in that much debt. That doesn't mean a company can't do well and keep running and the stock can keep going and you may have some turnaround. A lot of the home builders right now are coming through this alert, but things are getting much better for them. They do have a lot of debt, but that can improve rather quickly. But keeping it simple, I just wanted to create an alert where they had a lot of debt. And this is how I did it, okay? Look at my configuration. I'm just looking for a new high, okay? And these are my filters, okay? I'm looking for a cash to debt ratio of 0.1. Okay, and what that means is very simple, guys. You look up here and you can see the cash and you just divide it by the debt. That's what's great about our single stock window. You can compute this real quick on your own just by dividing the two. And without going too much in how I came up with 0.1, it's just me playing around with the filters and coming up with this 0.1 ratio. And usually if they have about well, a good example would be just if they had $1 million in cash and $10 million in debt, you would have a 0.1. So it's easy for you to compute there. I have optimized this strategy, but very little. You can see the filters. There's very little optimization in this. The price I found came from between $26 and $130, optimized best. Position in your range, okay? I'm looking for stocks that have huge amount of debt, but are only 25% from going to 52-week highs or thereabouts. It's funny. I did what little optimizing that I did. The change in the S&P 500 was the one that kind of ruled. I mean, it changed the profit factor and the winning ratio hugely. And I'm going to show you. I'm just going to take this out for the time being and just show you real quick. All right, so we're going to take out the 0.4. Or is it 0.04? Oh gosh, I hope I remember.
0.4.
Thank you. I was like, oh boy. All right. So now you see stocks came through here today because I took out the market was not up. The S&P 500 was never up 0.4 today or higher. So let's just run a back test strategy based on these filters and parameters. So remember, it's a fading strategy. So I'm simulating a sell here. And give it time to run. Okay, not very impressive at all. You know, profit factor 0.91, 486 trades, 46% winners. Average winner and loser are pretty even. Factoring in some commissions, you pretty much got a slightly, a negative return there. All right, so now I'm going to go back. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and save this. I'll just move it over here. Now I'm going to go back in here and configure and put back in the 0.4 into my change in S&P. Now this is a percentage and this is a minimum, so it's saying that the S&P has to be up at least 0.4% on the day, or no alerts will come through. Thus, there will be no back testing for that day. So let me change it to 0.4, and you're going to see nothing came through here today because the market was never up 0.4%. Now let's go ahead and back test it. Only thing I changed was the S&P percentage. And just by changing that one filter, you're going to see a huge difference. Oh, please don't get slow on me.
Andy, those are the good ones where you just notice one thing sticks out like a sore thumb, right? And
yes.
Then boom.
Yes. And go ahead.
As Jeff was just commenting on how that's amazingly simple, that configuration that you're about to show us.
Yes. It's so simple and just based on the amount of debt. So here now all of a sudden you got a profit factor of 2.41, 65% winners. I forgot to tell you guys, this is a 3-day hold, okay? So this is not something, I haven't back tested it. I will share this with you guys. This is what I'd like to do. I'll give you something very simple, and then you can take this and play with it, and maybe you can even make it even more incredible. I wouldn't call it incredible, but maybe you can make it incredible. But anyway, yeah, a 65% win ratio, that's nice. That would make Holly's combine. There's not enough trades in here to give it to Holly, but nonetheless, and remember guys, this is a swing, or if you want to call it a 3-day hold bearish strategy in an incredible bull market. So this is one that you might want to keep in your hopper, like I said earlier, and for when the market does turn. I think this would you could find some really good opportunities in here, because there's a theory behind this too as well. Because I noticed I was playing around with it a little bit, and I put 6%. The S&P has to be up 6%, and I didn't get enough trade results in that. It came out like 80. I like to at least keep it around 100, but nonetheless, the profit factor was up over 3. So what happens is you have the market may be getting excited, people are buying stocks, and the next thing you know, they're buying, I don't want to say they're junk stocks because all of them have to be in the upper 25% of their yearly range, but they're companies with a lot of question marks, because anytime I see just tons of debt, I'm a little bit leery. Let's go back to yesterday real quick. We got a few minutes here, and just go back to the history. And let's see.
Of course, we got a few people asking for your extreme high-low volume.
Oh, absolutely. I will share them both. I'm almost done here. I just kind of want to look at yesterday and maybe look at some stocks that came through here. Let me put it on the 15-minute. And there you see Penn yesterday went off, pretty much close at highs, hitting a high. Of course, it went off earlier, I'm sure. But I'm just giving you examples. And you can look over here. Let me move this. And you can see the debt. Okay, you can see this one right here, this WLH home builder. So I noticed they're doing better. But look at this beautiful entry right here. And you look over there, they have 32 million in cash, and they have 1.2 billion in debt. So red flag. These are something I think. This is something I think you can really keep. Like I said, keep in your hopper. That one pretty much just went sideways. That one worked so far, and like I said, they're a 3-day hold, and right now you see the 3-day hold not producing a whole lot, only about 22 cents higher than the average loser. But trust me, the market turns, this is going to be a lot better, and so that's why I'm saying keep this in your quiver, and get ready to pull it out at some point when the market does turn, and it will at some point. All right, so guys, so let me pull this back on real time, and I will drop these in here for you. And all right, they're going to be in the chat. So if you go to your GoToWebinar toolbar, you're going to find some sections in there, little tabs, and one of them is going to be called Chat. If you just want to look for it in there, I'm just going to put in volume at first, and that is the extreme volume high-low. And now I'll put in, where's my money?
I like it. I like the title.
All right, and I think I got that from Family Guy. All right, where's my money? And I'm dropping it in right now, so you'll have access to both of them. Just copy those links, guys, and I'll show you real quick for somebody who's new that really, I think most people know how to do it, but what you want to do is just copy the link. Just click on the link and then just copy the URL. Simple as that. And then minimize your page and come to your toolbar and go to File, Load from Cloud. And it should have copied it from the clipboard. If it didn't, you may have to paste it if you have an older version, but it should be copied there. Just hit load, and now you have another copy. You have that copy of that. All right, so guys, with that said, I think we are time to wrap it up. You guys hang tight. I know Scott's going to come in here and offer you a discount here. So Scott, if you're ready, I think they're ready for you.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah, a couple items. We have a podcast that comes out on Friday, so there's a new one coming out tomorrow afternoon. If you're not already a subscriber, go to your favorite podcast app. Just pick up your phone now, open your podcast app, and type in search for Trade Ideas Podcast into it. You'll find it. Subscribe to it. There'll be a fresh one in your podcatcher tomorrow at some point, probably around 3 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Pacific. And you can also listen to the archived ones. Lots of good stuff in the previous weeks. We have a new code. You can also download a handout. The handout is in your handouts panel on your GoToWebinar interface. Just click the little arrow next to where it says handouts and click the link to download. That way you can save this code to your desktop. It's good this week. Studio time, all caps, for 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. It includes training, so you get a full hour of one-on-one training with Andy, Jamie, Steve, Sean. One of our trainers will help you get going. It's great onboarding. If you have any questions about this, email us info@trade-ideas.com, or you can follow Jamie at QuantBot on Twitter, or Steve Gomez is Today Trader on Twitter. Of course, Dan Merkin's Trade Ideas 1. We have some other handles like Trade Ideas, a few others that you'll find if you follow at least one of them. And the recording will be up later tonight or tomorrow morning if we don't have any technical problems. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Andy and Jamie.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Later, guys.
Thanks for popping in.